All right, basically gonna review three markets, gold, YM, and oil. So let's take a look, mm, starting with the YM. And we'll take a look at what worked, what didn't work, why it worked, why it didn't work, all of that. Okay. Where I took the, okay. All right. All right, so I'll just start off here. I think I should start off here. I'll just start off there. Okay, so let me just delete all this. So what do you see? You see that from here, yeah. So first of all, there's markdown in the background, but again, this markdown in the background is the wrong chart. There we go. I was wondering why does this look different? Okay, so take a look here. All right. So everyone knows, yesterday you had a pretty strong rally, FOMC or whatever, right? Over here, you have what? You have your climax. How do you know it's a climax? Big price, big volume. It's climactic. And price goes down. There's pressure here, ding, 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 break, up thrust, break. So this really set up everything. Then the market eventually came over here, did a retest, and then went down in earnest, meaning there's selling pressure right here. Very obvious, biggest in 49 waves, and breaks and does all of that. Oh, this is good. Over here, as the market was breaking down, yeah. So say this is the trend, this is the downtrend. Pressure, sign of weakness, ding, 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 and continues down. Here it got very interesting because if it was going to hold, it would have held right here. This was a support level. You know why it was a support level? And I'll explain what was going on here. So the market basically pulled back after making the high. Here, it seemed like this was accumulation. It's small accumulation, not that much, but it rallied when and it went higher. And the idea here was this was volume off the bottom. So it was plausible that the volume off the bottom came in, and you see the wave is big, and then they did a spring because this happens, a couple times. However, it's a deeper spring than I would like to see. In any case, the idea is like take liquidity or stop run a bit below here. So volume off the bottom, and then accumulate some, and get that move going, right? But this didn't work. Why didn't it work? Well, first of all, when you have volume off the bottom, it should not be taken out with that much of a move. Typically, you don't want it that much of a move. Second thing is the accumulation here. Second thing is actually the rally over here didn't have big price volume action. I mean, it didn't have those indications on it. So that was the first red flag for me that, yeah, there's something not quite right because it should have had, heavy buying prints over here. It didn't have that. The second red flag was, the break here was a little too low. It didn't make sense that, I mean, I would take if it one or two bricks, but when it's 3, 4 bricks below, something's not quite right. It means that they attempted here but failed and it went lower. Although I still believe there's some minor accumulation here. Yeah. So why I say that is because on a higher time frame, this is in a spring position. So as you know how deadly spring positions are when they have accumulation and a strong rally, like they can fly, right? So deadly for the bears. And what happened was the market, so slick, it did go up, but the pullback after it went all the way down here. So I mean, there's nothing you can do about this. You know, they did a spring of a spring, right? So there's nothing like there's nothing you can do about this. I don't know what to do about this. This is a situation where you get stopped, you get stopped, right? So this was some type of minor accumulation, goes up, breaks these highs, but then it does this, and this is a little bit climactic because the volume is big and all that. Here you have your volume off the bottom, and here you had a rally. It was not clear enough for me. Like I could not, I just couldn't see it. And but it went up. Right, it went up and did its thing. And this was a prior resistance area. And then from that area, you had selling pressure, and the selling pressure continued down. Now here again, it got very interesting. Why this? I show you selling pressure, more selling pressure. So I thought that this was climactic. It looks climactic, you know, it looks very climactic. Then look at the buying pressure that arose from it. So you have big wave up, big wave down. So it's, you know, climactic and then sign of strength, right? And then indication of a markup right there. That's a markup indication. So typically when that happens, especially in uptrends, they fly. And then it had follow through, but the problem is, why didn't this work? So I'm going to pose that question to you to answer. Why didn't this markup work? Meaning, why didn't it trend up? The answer is because it never took out this high. This is the problem. You know, just did not take out this high. That's one. Two, if it had a little bit more cause either before or after, it wouldn't have this space for the market to break down. So that's really it. If it had a little bit more cause or base that was a little bit lower, and obviously if it took out this high, that means the shorts would have to buy and it would go higher. So this is why. But the key thing is it has to break this high. It didn't do that. I thought it would do it because it went this high. All it needed was one more break, and then pullback entries are valid. But instead, it went all the way down to test the higher time frame breakout. And here, unfortunately, although this is climactic and big wave, it goes down, up, and this is a nice because it, you know, it has that base that's lower, not high up. So test, retest, and then high. So this created the up and a higher up, higher high. But I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it because it didn't have any clear indications of buying strength. Yes, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and yes, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I need more. You know, it has no indication of strength. But like an idiot, I didn't realize that the strength, although it didn't show on this market, it showed on the ES. We see demand and the formation of trend. But I couldn't, but it wasn't unclear on the Dow. It just was unclear. So, I mean, what are you going to do? If it's unclear, it's unclear. Right? But on the ES, it's there. Yeah. Demand, trend, demand, trend. I don't know why it just didn't give any clear indication of strength here with a clear indication. What the hell happened? Anyway, so what happened? Of course, take a wild guess. Markup. Yeah. Now it's at a resistance area. That's why you see the red, 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 red over there. What do you think is going to happen? Said the selling pressure, correct. Selling pressure came, This is the biggest down volume in the last biggest volume in the last 63 bricks. So that's your volume at the top. Volume at the top, volume pressure, selling, lower low, test the lower low and go down. However, you have to be very, very, very careful because this is a counter trend into a pullback. Anyway, just a counter trend, and I'm going to explain again, because it's extremely important to understand that counter trend, the purpose of a counter trend is to test. Okay? I mean, you got to know that the purpose of a counter trend is to test. The other term is mitigate or whatever. Is to test, mitigate. That's the purpose of a counter trend. Second thing is counter trend create inducement for short covering. What do I mean? I mean, when the price starts for short covering, right? So what does that mean? So when the market goes down, there'll be sells, right? So there'll be sells. Like if I was going to take this, I would have taken it right when it tested this area and short it. So basically, selling, the shorts are, let's say they sell. When the shorts sell and it goes down, right, it's very important. Why? Because when the market breaks out, people think that it's just the breakout buyers that are going long. Meaning, okay, they say, okay, this is a level, this is level. If it goes above this level, I'll go long. All right. So they think it's like that it's just breakout buyers. But it's not just breakout buyers. It's also the stops of the short cover of the shorts. The shorts that are in on this move down have their stop above the high. So you have breakout buyers that are getting in, plus the shorts that have to cover. And because they have to cover, along with the breakout buyers buying, it creates a new high. All right, it gives the necessary pressure from the breakout buyers and the stops together, creating the higher high. So the pullback is required in order to make a higher high, because the shorts who sell, their covering is required to create the buying pressure needed to make a higher high. And when you compare, when you couple that with the long buys, breakout buyers, it creates a very very good move, right? So here for sure, I know the shorts are in. I know it why it's at a resistance area. That's why. So they're gonna sell resistance. So, and this made a lower low. So they're thinking, okay, this is trend. It's not trend. That lower low is possible spring position. And how for me, it's a possible spring position because look at the volume that's coming in. So when it hits that low, it reverses. Not only is there heavy volume down here, but it reverses back up. So why is it going up on high volume? Shouldn't it be breaking down on high volume? It didn't break down on high volume. Although you had this break, it reversed. So the buying pressure to the upside instead of the downside. It's not a breakdown when the buying pressure is in the opposite direction. It's almost like a reverse breakout. So that leads this to be a very lucrative position where it's possible that it's going to rally. Anyway, long story short, the way I view it right now on this volume of the bottom, possible little climax, and then change of behavior. I'm not sure if this is a breakout bar right here. Not sure if that's a breakout bar, right? Because it's against this high and it does have follow through, but it could be. And then after that, you have a pullback. Now, if it clears it with a higher high, then it has the chance to continue significantly higher. Also note, this thing that looked like it tested, this could also be strength in the background. Meaning from this pullback, you have green, 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 green. So this could be strength in the background. And that right there could also be your spring. So this is a consideration. And why I'm thinking about this in this way and not thinking from not overly focusing on the bearish perspective is because the market is in uptrend. So you need to think more from the bullish perspective. You know, imagine it's sold, buyers came in, goes to spring position, all this heavy volume has no follow through, reverses back up with higher volume that takes out prior to highs. What's that saying? Bulls are interested. Anyway, so any lessons here? Yeah, counter trend is needed to create covering. All right, and testing and covering. It's also used to reaccumulate, whether that's through an accumulation base or through a spring. And I think it's being reaccumulated through spring right here. And we'll see. Okay, next let's move on. Okay, and the higher time frame, it's still, see right here, what did it do? Perfect test of the breakout. High test, look at the rally. Possible spring, go higher. All right, let's move on to gold. I don't know how I missed this one. Probably how I miss everyone. So basically, this is in a bullish. So you had all this buying pressure come in, it pulled back to test, and then it made a higher high. So what does that mean? That means the market is in markup because it's making higher highs with sign of strength in the background. So I mean, after that, all it did was test, right below here, dink, and fly. Biggest, waves and all that. So it keeps going and going and going and going. And the other thing to mention, this again is inducement. Like this, I keep harping on this because this is how you lose most of your money. Right here, you have a low, and this is on heavy volume. This selling pressure. What happens? You have a lower low. Now tell me, has the trend changed? Because you have a low and then another low, both on very heavy volume. No, because this is a counter trend, and you know the purpose of the counter trend is to create short covering. What else is its purpose? To test. What else is its purpose? To do spring. That's what it did. And what happened? It was bought right there. Went into spring, bought. Problem with counter trending is, yeah, anyway. And some of them work, but we'll see what happens eventually. See, even over here. If you see this is a very heavy selling pressure. Right here. Then what happens? It creates a lower low. Yeah. This is the low, high, lower low. Now, again, what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to test. What are they testing? They're testing this guy, this 6. This 6 right here. This area right here. absorbed and broke out above that high. So this counter trend is testing this area right there. This is what happens. And it's the ABC, but let's just say you thought it was a counter trend because the selling pressure came in. You have to look to the left and see if there's a breakout there, and there is. So what is this telling you? It's telling you it's a counter trend to test so any lower low selling pressure, it's only internal, what do you call it, internal trend or internal structure or whatever. It's just a counter trend or a pullback formation. A pullback on a, it's low, makes low lows. All right. Here was here I'm sure there were folks who wanted to sell the top. Positive, there were folks that would sell the top. After they see this, they think it's climactic. Then they see this, they think this is selling pressure or sign of weakness. Then they see this, they think it's a lower low, right? So they're going to look to short. Where's the stop? Above the high. What's get run? Above the high. Already ran. Right there. They stopped out. So even this right here is counter. And what it does is it tests this area. You just have to be careful with trends, especially with, see, nothing will work. Yeah, I mean, it can work like right here, sell, test, boom. Right here, markdown, test, and goes down. But once this strength is in the background, do not short. Okay, I think that's about it. Went through, I think I went through it all. All right, take care, bye.